Real questions, real answers for real life. Come on in and pull up a chair. It's time to discuss the issues of the day here at 1850 Main Street.
If you want to criticize a speech, do you think you should go over the whole thing for context first? Does anyone do that?
Previously on 1850, we talked about Harrison Butker and the commencement speech he gave at Benedictine earlier this month. And I guess there's more to say and more to talk about.
I can't stop talking about it, honestly.
I know you're ready to go, but I'm going to start with a question for you.
Okay.
Based on the critiques you've read, the things you've seen online, on television, what percentage of the people who offered an opinion on this speech do you believe watched it in its entirety or read the entire transcript?
That's a great question. Low. I mean, single digits. You know me, I'm not great with numbers. I'm a words guy. I'm not a numbers guy. That would be a question you would ask me. You'd ask me a numbers guy. I got to give a percentage. I don't know. 2? I don't know.
Because when I see
10?
the critiques and things that are said, you know, I'm kind of like, is it The Princess Bride? That doesn't mean what you think it means.
Yeah. Exactly.
Because that's a thought that I had.
Well, to that point, do you know who else seems like they didn't watch the whole thing?
The Pope?
The Sisters of Mount St. Scholastica, who are affiliated with the college. They're part of the support of the college.
They took issue?
They denounced the speech. Which is so interesting because you said it was pre-approved. I hadn't heard that.
I believe, it was pre-approved. That's what I read. I mean, as long as
apparently he didn't run past the nuns, but
why did they take offense?
I'll tell you. They've got a full statement. They have a statement in response to the 2024 Benedictine College commencement address. They say in part, this is a quote. This is just a pull from them. It's a larger thing. You can go read it online. I encourage you to do so. I'm all about context for everybody. But the main thing they said was, instead of promoting unity in our church, our nation, and the world, okay, so apparently a kicker for the Chiefs contributed to world disunity here. His comments seem to have fostered division. One of our concerns was the assertion that being a homemaker is the highest calling for a woman. I didn't hear him say that in the speech.
I didn't hear him say that either. My question, I guess, for the nuns would be, when I read the Bible, it doesn't say, but don't read this passage if it doesn't cause unity. There are a lot of things in there that don't cause unity if you don't adhere to them.
Christ says, I came not to bring peace, but a sword. And that's the Prince of Peace saying that.
Yes.
Some things divide.
Yes. He wants to unify, but he commands us how to live. He commands us how to think. He has absolute authority in our lives if we yield it to him.
Well, and to get more to the actual speech, we were talking about if people have actually read the whole thing. I think that they misinterpreted him or took his words out of context.
I agree. Let me say too, sorry, I got to correct myself. My words are replaying in my mind. He has absolute authority whether we yield it to him or not. He has authority. So everyone listening saying, wow, he has ultimate authority.
But we are told to obey. We're told to walk in step with him. Again, if you're trying to be a Christian. And that's who he's talking to. Catholic man says Catholic things at Catholic place. So
and others get mad.
And non-Catholics get mad.
Well, apparently the nuns
the nuns get mad too.
I know you want to go, so I'll stop for a second. Go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to read the end of his actual quote.
Yeah.
He says of his wife, he's talking about his own wife, which he's got to go home to her. The only woman he really needs to make happy is her. I'd like to see her remarks about the speech. He says that she embraced one of the most important titles of all, homemaker. He says it's one of the most, and that shouldn't be arguable. No one should argue that. I think everyone should say a woman being a homemaker is one of the most important titles of all. You know what? I would say watch this. Who's going to get mad about this one? I think a man's responsibility in the home is the highest thing he can do. I think that's more important.
You're getting all fired up today.
I am getting fired up about this.
I love it.
He goes on to say, he's praising his wife here. And that's something, I'm reading the transcript off EWTN, which is a Catholic website. They've got the transcript here. It says, after he says one of the most important titles of all, not the most, he didn't say the most. He didn't even go as far as I did for men. It says applause lasting 18 seconds. And do you know why it's lasting 18 seconds? Because he's about to cry,
Yes.
talking about how much he loves his wife. That could be another headline for this speech. Man praises wife so much he cries in front of audience of hundreds. Feminists get mad. Man loves wife so much he cries, praising her. Feminists unite. She is a primary educator to our children. She is the one who ensures I never let football or my business become a distraction from that of a husband and father. Wife holds husband accountable to homemaking duties. Feminists get mad. Nobody's heard that line. He said, my wife checks me and makes sure that I keep the house first and foremost, that I don't let winning 3 Super Bowls become too important to me. I don't let my business, which probably makes millions, I don't know what his business is, it's probably successful, that I don't let that become a distraction from that of a husband and father. Is Andrew Tate mad about that? Andrew Tate gets mad about that. You know, red-pilled men's rights activists hate Harrison Butker now. Nobody's played that quote, him crying because he loves his wife so much, and then saying, man, she checks me, make sure that I keep family first.
I'm thinking of the skit that shows, it says questions that kids ask mom, and it shows this kid, and he's like, Mom, what time's practice? Mom, what's for dinner? Mom, where are we going this weekend? Mom, where's my science? Mom, all these questions for mom. And then it says questions that kids ask dad. Dad, where's mom? You know,
That's awesome.
I mean, and I think that shows you, I mean, both man, woman, husband, wife, mother, father have amazingly important roles. And when you read the context of his speech and what he said it's one of the most important jobs. And anyone that wants to argue with that, I don't know what to tell you.
When you subscribe to 1850 Main Street, you're the first to find out what's happening next with new guests, publications, and events. And when you spread the word about 1850 Main Street, you're helping others find real answers to the real questions facing America right now. To learn more, visit 1850mainstreet.com. And please, tell a friend.
This is what G.K. Chesterton says about moms. He says mothers are philosophers.
What can I first say? It surprises me that you're going to bring Chesterton in, but carry on.
Listen, listen. We're talking about Catholics. I got to bring my favorite writer, who is a Catholic, into this. Mothers are philosophers, teachers, entrepreneurs, and feast givers, says Chesterton. That's from his essay, The Emancipation of Domesticity. Like, he basically says mothers do everything.
Well, let's talk though. They do. We've talked about people that have bashed Harrison Butker. Can we talk about a few folks that have supported him?
Yeah.
Because he's getting support. The problem is the support you hear from the media at a fraction of what you hear the dissenters.
Yeah.
No one wants to talk about that. One of his teammates, Chris Jones, put on Twitter, or X, I should say, I love you, Butt Kicker 7. Now, Butt Kicker 7 is the handle that Harrison Butker goes by.
That's funny.
On X. That's his handle because he is a kicker. He says, I love you, Butt Kicker 7, my brother. That's what he writes. Gracie Hunt, the daughter of Chief CEO Clark Hunt. So this is this is what Gracie Hunt says. Well, I can only speak from my own experience, which is I've had the most incredible mom who had the ability to stay home and be with us as kids growing up. And I understand that there are many women out there who can't make that decision. But for me in my life, I know it was really formative in shaping me and my siblings into who we are. I really respect Harrison and his Christian faith and what he's accomplished on and off the field.
That's awesome. Well, and that makes me think about this. Remember the context. We do a terrible job of keeping context in mind as human beings sometimes. The context of the speech, he's talking to college graduate women. That's who he's talking to. He's not saying women shouldn't be educated and have jobs and careers. He says, for the ladies present today, congratulations on an amazing accomplishment. They're graduating college. He's not like some anti-what. He's saying, hey, ladies, congratulations. You should be proud of all that you achieved to this point in your young lives. Nobody's playing that part of the quote. Nobody's playing that part.
And he's
saying you're going to have professional success, but your family will be more important to you. Everybody thinks that.
Yeah,
That has a soul.
And he knows that they're going to be wrestling with decisions, and he wants to put them in perspective with his faith. And their faith, assumingly, they're at that school, so they would have a shared faith.
Well, and again, he tells you why he's saying it to the women specifically. He's saying it because in our current culture
of the world
right now, motherhood is not quite as praised as he thinks it should be. That's why he says he's doing that specifically. So again, if you go context and you go look at full quotes, it makes a lot more sense. And that's why the speech received a standing ovation in the room.
But in this world where people don't like to acknowledge differences between men and women, you had a Kansas City newspaper that came out and basically said that Harrison Butker should lose his job as place kicker for the Kansas City Chiefs and be replaced by a woman. And a lot of people, there was a Division I young lady that kicked in a college football game. It was done as a sham. It was done for show. It was not, I'm sorry, it was. If we're going to be honest and talk about things, here's the reality. If there was a female that could kick as good as any of the males in the National Football League, they would be hired tomorrow and be allowed to kick.
Sure.
That's the reality of it.
Yeah.
Because the NFL, I know it stands for not for long and no fun league, but they want to win. That's what they want to do. They want to win. And if a female kicker would help them win, guess what? They're going to bring a female kicker in.
Yeah.
That's the reality of it. But for the paper to call for the Chiefs to get rid of the kicker, even if they were doing it tongue-in-cheek and parody, but that seems to be the cool thing to do now, is to write those type of stories like, whoa, look at our social justice. Look at where we stand. Come on.
Well, and you saw, and I think even worse than that, the city of Kansas City on X virtually doxed him. They didn't give his entire address, but they said, hey, just a reminder, Harrison Butker lives in blah, 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 blah. And they said the city that he lives in. Like, why would you do that?
Because they want to act holier than thou. They're ashamed of him.
Do
and
they
what he
want
would
people
say.
to find his house?
Yeah, exactly.
Do they want people to show up and picket his lawn? Do they? What do they want people to egg his house? What do they want people to do? Is that going to end well? They want a mob of pitchforks at his door because Catholic man says Catholic things at Catholic place, and everybody else listened in on it on a family discussion. Then they took the tweet down and said oh we that was sent in error. Like, oops, I typed out a tweet and hit send and publish, but that was an accident.
You know what amazes me too is many of these people that are speaking out against Harrison Butker, who spoke at a Catholic school. He was invited. He gave the speech, followed all the protocol. The same people that are criticizing him, many of them are the same people that are in support of pro-Palestinian protesters that are doing encampments, that are doing things with their speech that are hateful, anti-Semitic. And I'm just like looking at this, like, are we looking at everything through the same lens? Or are we making up different rules for different people based upon our feelings? Well,
that brings up an interesting point. I'm sure there are many Muslim NFL players that if you peeked your head into one of their services, or, they probably post some online, their addresses, there'd probably be some things that wouldn't sound lovely to modern ears and sensibilities in some of these, high elite, like news establishments. But we don't say anything about that.
They would never dare to say anything about that.
Yeah.
Those same newspapers, those same late night talk show hosts. Everyone wants to do it today for the clicks and the entertainment of it all. Here's what I hope doesn't happen. There's going to be many more Harrison Butkers through the years.
And I don't think he's done either. I don't think he's going to stop here.
I'm thankful for that. Yeah. But I hope what it doesn't do is give them reason not to speak out. Give them reason to say no. And when they say no the first time, don't give in to the persuasion to speak.
I don't think it will. And here's some positive signs. You're talking about people who support him. I think some more support came in from two other places. One, jersey sales. We were talking about this.
Yes.
His jerseys are flying off the shelves. They're rivaling those of Mahomes and Kelsey.
Yeah.
So a kicker's jersey is flying off the shelves right now. So the fans are supporting him. And also Whoopi Goldberg supported him on The View, which I thought was interesting. It was surprising, but she had a very reasoned take.
I don't have to believe him. Right. I don't have to accept them. The ladies that were sitting in that audience do not have to accept them. The same way we want respect when Colin Kaepernick takes a knee. Right. We want to give respect to people whose ideas are different from ours. So I'm okay with him saying whatever he says, and the women who are sitting there, if they take his advice, good for them, they'll be happy. If they don't, good for them, they'll be happy a different way. When you say to somebody, I don't like what you said, and so I'm going to get your job taken away because you disagree with me. Right. Yeah. For me, that is an issue.
It could happen to us.
Because it does happen
to us.
It happens to us all the time. Yes. That is why.
We get hate.
Yes.
And I think, again, I'm going to stress, he was doing it in his capacity as a private citizen. He was not in the Chiefs uniform. He was not at Arrowhead Stadium in front of a stadium full of fans making a social protest. Had he been making a social protest, which some players have done, many people have called for those players to be praised when they take a stand in the uniform.
And others have called for them to not be praised. So it cuts both ways.
It does. So, But I think many of the ones that would praise the ones for taking the social protest now or condemning the guy
because they like the cause. I mean, that's something that people
stand on principle.
People on both sides fall prey to this. Well, I like the cause, so I'll make an exception for my guy.
Right.
I don't like the cause, so I should stop.
Yeah.
So we got to keep that same energy.
Well, maybe that's what we'll see next. Maybe we can see Whoopi Goldberg and Harrison Butker come together. Maybe that's what America needs to see a little bit more of uniting and coming together is a little Whoopi Goldberg, Harrison Butker panel discussion.
The conversations are just getting started. To get connected, check out 1850mainstreet.com. We don't data mine anyone or sell your information. Subscribe today so you don't miss a single conversation. We'll see you next time here at 1850 Main Street.